Welcome to Rosie the Pivoter podcast, a Millspo Social magazine production, hosted by Editor-in-Chief Kara Sanchez. A bite-sized series spotlighting the bold pivots of female military-affiliated entrepreneurs navigating the unexpected turns of military life. Each episode highlights pivots born from the most unexpected skills and experiences, showing how those strengths are transformed into thriving businesses and brands. Designed to inspire women who feel the pull for something more, but are still building the courage to leap. Let's get ready to pivot. To Rosie the Pivoter podcast, and I am beyond excited because I feel like I am chatting with, honestly, like my twin flame in military spouse entrepreneurship. This is someone who early on in the space, when I said I wanted to start a magazine, she was so eager to jump on a call and just get me connected and get me all of the things. And this is the girl's girl, the woman that everyone should be connected with. If you don't know her, you should. I'm so proud to introduce everyone to Moni Jefferson of the Association of Mil Spouse Entrepreneurs. And you are so much more than that. So I kind of want to just give you the mic, and can you let everyone know just all of your affiliations, all of your associations, and also a little bit about your military journey?
Yeah, I feel like, and I think this is something like we've been kind of talking about, like, I am more than a military spouse. And I know like in this realm, it is really what has gotten me in my business where I'm at now, like this ownership of military spouse entrepreneurship and launching AMSE and all of these things. But, originally when I even started entrepreneurship, I started a public relations and social media agency, and I was just managing social media for people. So yeah, I obviously am the founder of the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. I also run Dog Tags and Heels public relations, where we work with corporate and military spouse influencers. And I also have an empowerment coaching and small business. I do that as well as the coaching. So
yeah. And what's awesome is that your association, I think people are so quick to be like, oh, it's just like a networking group, but it is so much more than that. And with the summit coming up and all of the events and chapters that we have, because I'm a member too, I'm saying we, right? It is the one-stop shop for military spouse things. And so tell us a little bit about the summit and all of the things. And pause, we have a child in the room.
Baby,
you're taking a nap.
Oh, not girl. Take a nap. Take a nap.
So, as many of you may or may not know, these episodes are just one-shot wonders, and so we're gonna roll with it. But if any of you are dealing with kids at home, I hope this is relatable. But yeah, so you have obviously the group and the platform, but yeah, you're doing like in-person things, and the summit is huge. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I want to talk a little bit about like what you said, like when you were like, oh, people just think it's like a networking thing. Like I built what I built, and everything I do is with intention, is from experience. I'm like the type of person that like, if I see a problem or I see something can be done better and it's in my capacity and I can do it, and it's something that like I could be good at, that's what I'm going to do. And so AMSE was created around that. It was created around me going to other communities and just attending a workshop. And then that was it. It was a part of me going to events and then going home and still feeling lonely. It was me, going to these different programs that you go for 2 or 3 days and get like this support on how to build and scale a business. And then I still had questions. It was, me moving somewhere and not having a place to like meet other spouses and just like do life. So everything that is a part of AMSE is built with intention. Like there is no, and I will say this with a whole chest, there's no other organization that does what we do in our capacity. We are online digitally. We are in person. We verify spouses that come into our community. We don't just say we have military spouses in our community. We are very intentional about the summit that's coming up. And, you know, we just announced that you are partnering or collaborating with us. And it's something that for me, I'm like, I love, like you said, twin flames, like people who just have a vivaciousness for the community and really are not like worried about what everybody's doing, but like how you can bring people together and elevate each other in a really transparent and authentic way. And that's really what I see in you. And that's why I love everything that you're doing, because it's my goal. Like, I want to bring people to this community, and then I want you guys to all showcase your business, your expertise, collaborate, hire each other. Like, it's more than just about me creating a platform. It was me creating a space I wish I had, and me creating a space that I feel every military spouse deserves. So the summit is October 7th through the 9th. Build It Bold. Kara came up with this idea. We were talking about a theme, and she was like, what am I going to do with Build It Bold? And I was like, I love that. And then Laura and Anna and everybody loved it. So we're going with it. We are going to build it bold for the summit. And it is 3 days. It's at the National Medal of Honor Museum, October 7th through the 9th in Arlington, Texas. Tickets are only $47. It's just going to be about military spouse entrepreneurs. We're going to cover finance, business resources, and strategies, plus the networking and the mental health and wellness aspect.
Absolutely. And like for me, AMSE has been a huge part of my pivot in learning how to jump into this space. But also a pivot in terms of I just PCS'd and I had literally no network where I was moving. And so this has been such a pivotal thing for me to have this space and this platform and the network, all of the things to get me kind of started. It was a jumping off point, and it's been huge. So, okay. So, you know, obviously the whole intention of this podcast is to discuss the pivot, and you've obviously had several pivots, but when your husband first, because we also have like a very similar journey. Your husband got into the military at a later age. Same with my husband. He was in, got out, got back in. So he got back in when we were like in our mid to late 30s. But anyway, so when you guys got into the military, what were you doing prior to that? Prior to being a military spouse? Like, tell us a little bit about your life before.
I was a military kid. So my dad was in the Army. I met Roy in high school. My dad was stationed at Fort Polk, and that's how we met. So he was a military kid. They retired there. I was a military kid. I met him. And at the time, man, my husband was enlisted for 6 years. Then he got out and went back in. But before that, you know, I had just graduated high school, and we were living in a apartment for $175 a month. And things are just interesting. You know, we're really just trying to figure out and make it. And we only knew military life, and we missed having our ID card, our benefits, and our security blankets. And so my husband enlisted in 1999. And then when he got out initially, the goal was to, you know, he's like, well, if I'm going to make this if I'm a retire, I might as well go full throttle. And so he got out, he did a program to become an officer. It was like 32 was literally the cutoff at the time. And he came back as an officer. So I've seen like the enlisted and the side. It's been really interesting. I've also lived as a civilian with no health insurance or anything in between, because when my husband got out, we didn't have anything. So really, really interesting. And then before he got back in to be an officer, we had purchased like 8 houses and rentals. So we were like landlords. That's how we made money for those 2 years, is by renting out houses and apartments. It's really, it was really.
So I think because we just became the landlord for the first time, and it feels so risky and it feels so scary. But once you kind of just rip off that Band-Aid and you get your first tenant in there, you're like, whew, like this weight is off your shoulders. And I feel like so much of learning that risk assessment and learning how to handle and navigate that risk is totally tied to entrepreneurship and learning how to launch something of your own. Like it feels really scary at first. You feel vulnerable and you feel like, oh my gosh, could I get taken advantage of? All this stuff. But I think it's so brave, and it's a true testament of who you are today, because that was a bold choice. That's a scary choice to do that. And that's like your main source of income.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on to kind of today and all of the things that you are working on, what are, I don't know, some skill sets or lessons from life that you are able to apply to starting your own personal network, but it's like also a personal brand, I would say.
Yeah, I think, you know, something that really hit me. So 2024, we retired. So October 2024, that whole year and like all of 2025, I feel like I was like just walking in a circle. Like I still had the organization, we were retiring, but there were days where I was just like, I feel like I was a zombie. I was just going through the motion, and retirement, I didn't really understand and know what it was all about. And I feel like I'm just now like, okay, I'm embracing it. This is what it means. But in that time, I started to really, my mindset started to shift. Like I really need to pivot a little bit to be more than just the military spouse, because I know that I am, and it has been my brand and my foundation. It has made me who I am and everything, but I also need to explore outside of that. And so I really have been, who is Monica? Like I'm on this discovery, like who am I, and what are the things that I've learned that I want to share with other people and learn with other people, because I feel like I'm still learning so much about myself. And it's so true, like the 40s are your best years, but like it's also the years just like eye-opening. Like I remember being younger and like listening to women in their 40s, and I'm like, I'm in my 20s is my best years, and I'm like, no, like now I'm like, oh my god, no, 40s are the best years. Like the late 30s and 40s have been incredible, but I'm definitely learning to pivot in a way that opens my brand up to other women, and figuring out like that special magic. What is, everybody has magic, everybody has their specialty, everybody has something that they can share. Figuring out a way to connect that with a new audience, or to bring some of the military spouses that are experiencing that with me on that journey too.
Totally. And I feel like even now, as I'm getting some things tucked away for the magazine, I'm connecting with brands that are not necessarily military affiliated, but there are still ways in which we can collaborate and connect. And so I think that that's really wise of you to kind of expand your target audience and look beyond military life as how you could be a service for others, because you have accumulated so much knowledge and so much experience along the way that it only makes sense to expand and expand your offerings and offer your services to other people beyond just the military spouse community, you know? And so it's exciting.
Play that too. Like we're like, oh, it's just the military community. Like, you know, if you're using numbers, if you're being strategic, there's millions of military spouses that were your audience, and there's ways that you can pivot and expand that knowledge. And I think that we are and we can do much more. It's just really setting yourself up. If it were up to me, I would have been doing this 5 years before I knew I retired, but we retired so quickly, I didn't think about it, you know. And so now I feel like I'm a little bit behind the curve, because I'm still running the organization, and I'm also still trying to pitch myself to speak at just women's events and get into just, you know, women founder networks and things like that, instead of just military spouses, because I do have a lot of knowledge and information that I've learned throughout the years that have been able to build a business. And a lot of people can't do it the way that I've done it or you've done it. That you have to move it every few years. And I really think that that takes a certain skill set, stamina, mental mindset, emotional stability that like a lot of entrepreneurs probably wouldn't be able to handle. And I just want to be here to encourage anybody that they can do it. It just, you know, they have to really believe in themselves at the end of the day.
Exactly. And what would you say is one of your biggest pieces of pivot advice in terms of running your business alongside a PCS? Like, how do you get started when you move somewhere new?
And dang, that one's good. I mean, there's so many. I would say the biggest piece of advice for me is don't wait to get everything set up to just get started. Yeah. You know, there have been times I've moved and I'm like, oh, I need to wait for my office to be like this, or I need this over here, and I need the background done and all this decorations or whatever. Just get started, just hit the ground running, and don't be afraid to like get involved in new communities beyond the base.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think for me, that's been a huge proponent of, you know, why I'm finding some success here in the DC area, is because I didn't wait. I just jumped right in. I think the event that you offered to us to go to the MSEP event. We were able to represent AMSE there. And that was maybe like 5 days after I moved. Like it was something crazy like that. Like I was living out of boxes still. And I was like, no, I'm going to this. So
she's about it. Like if any of you know Master P, like she's about it. Like that's how I knew she was about it. I was like, oh, she can ride, because the girl was like, 5 days, I don't care, I'm gonna show up. I'm like, oh yeah, because that's how I would do. But there's so many people that make excuses about not doing it. And that's really, that one excuse is really what holds them back from so many other business excuses from not doing certain things.
Yeah. I mean, truly, we are in control of our success and all of the things that abundantly will come our way. But that requires us to lock in. And there is easy off ramps in military life to say, I can't lock in today because of XYZ. And it's like, if you're constantly finding excuses, then you're constantly not going to win. And so even today, like my kids are upstairs, supposed to be taking a nap. They're not. Yeah. And you know what? I'm still locking in. It is what it is. Like if they're going to interrupt my meeting, whatevs, like we're just going to roll with it. And you just have to. And you were one of the people too that gave me some really solid advice for any of the military spouses out there that are trying to navigate entrepreneurship and solo parenting, and not necessarily even solo. Like my husband's home, but he's at work all day, right? And so I'm home with the kids. You were like, go find a YMCA, or you know, you are so creative at problem solving, and that's another huge pivot for you. Like you are really good at just like bobbing and weaving. Like you figure it out. The punches come, and you're like, okay, instead of just taking the hit, let's find a solution. And so I think that is another piece of advice when it comes to pivoting, is just being super creative. Like that doesn't mean you have to be able to paint a mural. Like being creative just means being able to problem solve, truly.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, I coach thousands of spouses. Every time I just call them out. Okay, so why couldn't you do this? Why couldn't you do that? Okay, well, can you do this? Oh, well, and it's like we only have it in our mind that this has to be done a certain way because we see it a certain way. But things don't have to be accomplished the way it looks for somebody else, as long as it's accomplished and you get it done. It doesn't have to be in that time. It can be in your time. And so I love that you said that, because, you know, I use the YMCA at my disposal. There were days I didn't work out. There were days I just had meetings or built a website or cried, whatever, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's true. Like, you know, there are so many excuses to not get up and do the thing you're supposed to do that you wrote down on the list. There's so many. And some of it is complacency. As a military spouse, we get comfortable. We know that there's a check on the 1st and the 15th to help with whatever is happening at home. Anything extra that you make is extra, you know? And so really it comes down to like, what is that dream? What is your goal? What is your vision for you? Not for your kids or your husband or financially, but like what legacy and how do you want to leave this world better than you came in it? And so that's how I lead. And so I'm always thinking like, how can I make this better when there is a problem? Because there's always a solution. There's always a solution or a pivot. That's just true. That's the way of life, especially if you want something done. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, you better figure it out, because you're going to get a lot of no's. And if you take the no's, you're not going to grow in your business at all.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. I've had a couple of things that have been soft no's, and it's turned into a yes as of lately. And so you got to work your way through it. You know, you can't, no is not a final answer.
No, it's not. And you know I was just thinking about this earlier, how many people I have pitched my summit for the last 3 years and they have not responded. And then this year I've gotten a response, you know, so it's like not no and not anything personal on you. Sometimes it's not the right time. Sometimes they don't have the capacity. Sometimes they don't have the money. Sometimes they just don't have, it's not in alignment. And you can't take things personal. Like you're the one building the thing. You can't rely on everybody else. Yeah. You have to rely on you. And so you just got to go to the next. Okay, no, just keep it moving. Check. Yeah. All right. Noted. Keep it moving.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can't wallow in it because that's energy wasted. Energy wasted.
It's so easy to do that too. Like I've sat right here in this chair and been like, Lord, redirect this energy because I am feeling discouraged. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling resentful. Like redirect this. And then I just redirecting to pitching new people and then having whole new conversations with organizations or people or collaborations I wouldn't have even thought about. So it's just like taking that no, pivoting it into a different direction, not taking no for an answer, not removing them from your email list, and just keep sending them the information.
Exactly. Good stuff. There's so many good nuggets, so many pivoty nuggets in this one. Okay. So as we're wrapping up, I just want to make sure that people know how to find you, find AMSE, find more about the summit, all of the things. And I'm obviously going to link it in the notes, but if you could just pitch those two, make sure that people, they should know who you are, but
not everybody does, but you know. Listen, this is the goal, to get out here and do the visibility so that new people do learn about who I am and learn about the organization. So if you're a military spouse and you want to start a business, you can go to AMSEmembers.com and join for free. Learn more about AMSE at AMSEagency.com, and you can learn about the summit on the same website. If you want to follow me, you can go to @Moni Jefferson on all platforms, including Substack, where I just launched a new podcast because we were talking about pivoting. It's called 40 Something and Fearless. So make sure you head over and join me in those conversations.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so glad that we were here. I should have warned people from the beginning to buckle up because this was going to be an energy-filled conversation. But now they know. If they don't know now, they know that we're full of energy. And but I am so glad that you were able to share all of your pivots with us and that you were able to also just infuse us with your knowledge, because there's just so much to be picked from your brain, truly. And it's just an honor. So
thank you for having me. And I'm excited about everything that you're doing and where Rosie the Pivoter podcast is going.
Yeah. All right, lady. We'll check you next time, everyone. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to Rosie the Pivoter podcast. Don't forget, this is just one part of what we're building. We have an entire magazine and platform dedicated to supporting and elevating America's pivoters. Be sure to follow us on Instagram @MilspoSocialCo and check out milsposocialco.com to explore all the incredible ways we're showing up for this community. We'll see you next time.